Hey everyone, welcome today. Today we have a super action-packed live stream. We're going to be talking all about what is holding you back from going all in with your Facebook group. We're going to be talking about why focusing on less is the key to a profitable Facebook group. We're going to be talking about why your ego can completely ruin your Facebook group, and I'm going to cover 3 self-sabotaging beliefs that you need to eliminate immediately in order to succeed. So welcome. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Bacher, and I help entrepreneurs start and grow profitable Facebook groups. And one of the things that I've learned throughout my time helping over 800 students go through this program is that a lot of times we have some mindset issues that are holding us back with our Facebook group. So you can be, even if you're applying all the right tactics, all the right strategies, something still isn't clicking. So I want you to give me a yes in the comments if a lot of times you feel like you're doing everything right, but it's not working. And it's so incredibly frustrating. You cannot figure out why, because you're like, well, wait a minute, I have this part, I have this part, I have this piece. So if I have all of these different parts and if I have all of these right pieces, why isn't it working? Why isn't it coming together? So that's what we're going to talk about today. The very first thing that I want to dive into is this concept of focusing on less inside of your Facebook group. Now, if you know anyone that would benefit from this broadcast, please go ahead and share it out to your community if it's relevant, and make sure that you tag a friend that could benefit from this training. So here's what I mean by focusing on less. There's a lot of Facebook groups out there that have a very broad focus, and the focus of their Facebook groups are not directly attached to a product that they sell. So an example would be this. If you are a copywriter and if you have a Facebook group for creative entrepreneurs, but the product that you sell is related to copywriting, that's not a good fit. The most successful, the most profitable Facebook groups out there are those that attract the specific people that could benefit from whatever specific product you are selling. Now, if we think about that for a minute, there's a bigger problem at play, right? Because if you're listening to this right now, there's a good chance that you're telling yourself, but wait a minute, Caitlin, I sell more than one product. I sell a lot of different products. I sell a course about copywriting, and a course about email marketing, and a course about Pinterest, and a course about, branding. All of these different things. So how can I possibly make a Facebook group specifically about copywriting when I offer all of these other products or programs or services or whatever it is? So that's a problem. That's a problem for a few reasons that we can get into, but I want you to give me a yes in the comments if you identify with that. If you feel like it's very hard for you to have a specific focus with your Facebook group because you have a wide variety of offers. So let's think about just some simple math for a minute, okay? I know that for a lot of people, they have kind of this, idea of like, oh, I'm going to, 6 figures. That's my goal, right? Like maybe that's your goal. Maybe you're past that. Maybe your goal is 7 figures. Maybe your goal is 8 figures. Maybe your goal is 2 figures, right? Whatever it is, we all start somewhere. So what I mean is let's take a look at the math, okay? If you're trying to make $100,000, do you think it's going to be easier to do that by selling 10 different products or by selling 100 copies of one product that is $1,000? Think about that for a minute, because if you're selling 10 different products, those are 10 different funnels to manage. Those are 10 different lead magnets to optimize. Those are 10 different communities to manage, and it's too much. So if you're frustrated with yourself because you feel like, I'm not meeting these goals. I have this goal set for myself and I'm just not meeting it and I don't understand what's wrong. There's a good chance that the reason why you're meeting your goals has nothing to do with, your ability to serve, with the quality of your products and programs. It has nothing to do with that, but it has everything to do with focus. Okay? So, for example, I sell a product called the Fab Facebook Group System, not affiliated with Facebook. I sell that product, and I have a Facebook group, a free Facebook group that teaches people that is for people that want to start and grow profitable Facebook groups. Okay? There's a direct link there, right? I'm attracting people that want to learn more about how to grow their Facebook group, and then in return, I'm selling a product designed to help them with their Facebook group. Now, a lot of us, we see other people in the industry selling these big, massive, product suites, right? So they have a lot of different courses out there. And, we see these people as, successful. We assume that they're successful. And so we start to think that in order to be successful, we have to model our businesses accordingly, right? We have to then, if we want to hit that 6 figures, we need to have a product suite, a value ladder, and a this and a that, and all of these things, right? But in reality, you don't need that. You don't need that to hit your first 6 figures, and you don't need that to hit your first 7 figures. If your goal right now is to focus on hitting that 6-figure or 7-figure mark, you need to do less. You need to zero in on one product, and you need to focus on optimizing and selling that product. Okay? That's the way that you're going to stand out. You're not going to stand out by building a Facebook group for moms or for creative entrepreneurs or for this, that, or the other. That gets lost, right? There's so many groups like that. And so if that's you, if you've been struggling to hit those high revenue goals, I want for you to sit with that idea for a minute, that maybe the thing that's keeping you from reaching those high income goals is not the fact that you need to do more, it's the fact that you need to do less. That's a simple idea, but it's a really big idea, so I'm just going to let you sit with that for a minute. And I want to move into the next topic, and this is something that I see happen a lot of times with Facebook group, and it has to do with ego. So it used to be, I see some people posting saying hey, I'm so frustrated with my Facebook group. Should I close it? I feel like the stuff that I'm doing, it used to work and it's not working anymore. And first of all, I just want to say, your frustrations are spot on because, yeah, things have changed. The way that we used to run our groups in 2015 and 2016, things don't work the same way anymore. And if you continue to use the same tactics and strategies inside of your Facebook group that you did 2 years ago, well, they're not going to work anymore. So let me talk a little bit more about that. It used to be that a Facebook group was another way for us to be on a stage, right? It was another way, just as, you know, our Facebook page is kind of a stage. It's a platform for us to share a message. Instagram can be a stage. We used to be able to treat our Facebook groups like a stage, right? And it was all about us. It was all about the host. So we would go in there, we would go live, everyone would get a notification, everyone, our specific post would show up, everyone would see it. But it's not about that anymore. Your Facebook group is no longer all about you, it's all about your community. And unless you can get in there, and by getting there, I mean get inside of your head and, understand and make use of that shift from stage to community, your Facebook group is not going to work. So I want you guys to think about that for a minute. Like, is this resonating with you? Do you feel like the things that you used to do in your Facebook group, that they would get you a lot of attention, a lot of interaction, and somehow it doesn't seem like that anymore? It seems like your posts are kind of getting like drowned out by what other people are saying, and it can feel frustrating. And it leads a lot of hosts to believe that their Facebook group is no longer working, right? And and I see them post all the time. Things like, like my Facebook group isn't working anymore. I feel like nobody sees me. But it's not about you. It's about your community, right? If you want a stage, go to your Facebook page. Go there, right? That's your stage. But your group is something entirely different. And that is why, because it's different, because it's a community, because it's not a stage, that's why it's so incredibly effective at turning cold leads into hot leads. All right. So for example, if someone sees you on your Facebook page, they've never seen you before. So they're cold, right? They're a cold audience. They've never seen you before. And they see kind of what's happening on your Facebook page. You can, depending on the kind of content that you're sharing from your page, in theory, you could take that lead from a cold lead to a warm lead, right? Kind of like you're just starting to build that relationship with them. However, your Facebook group, the community that you've designed to serve people, that is going to act as a catalyst that's going to take your leads from cold to hot. There is no other tool online that better primes your audience to buy than your Facebook group. But a lot of people don't get it because they're applying the exact same tactics that they use on their page inside of their group, because they don't understand that their group is a community. It's not a stage. So you cannot apply those same tactics. It's not going to work. So the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because if you have a group and you feel like the things that you used to do a year ago are no longer working, and you're thinking, gosh, like, should I even, the posts that I'm making are not getting that much engagement, but the posts that other people are making in my group are getting tons of engagement and tons of comments. Well, guess what? That actually means that you're doing something right, because that's a true community. Right? It's not all about you. And this has everything to do with our ego. Because if the reason why you started a free Facebook group is because you wanted more attention, you wanted more time, you wanted everyone's eyes on you, and that's what you were caring about, and that's how you measure your value, your worth, by how much attention you're getting, and it's all about you, well, a Facebook group is no longer going to work for you. Like, it's just not. If that's the way, if that's what you value, if that's the way that you move in the world, like, it's not the best option for you. The people who benefit the most from Facebook groups are those, as I said before, that have a very niche, specific group that is directly tied to one offer and who are able to really, that are able to instill a sense of community inside of their group. I mean, like, let's just think about it, like, logically, okay? So let's think about it for a minute. You sell a course on, you know, whatever it is, like being a vegan. I don't know what your course is, or what your program is or whatever. Let's say that you have a course. Let's say that you have a program. Let's say you have a group coaching program all about money mindset. And it's designed for stay-at-home moms that are interested in going back into the workforce. Okay? I'm just making that up. I don't know what it is. But let's say that that is your group coaching program. What do you think the impact would be if you were able to start and grow a free group full of people that suffered from that specific problem? Not a group where you were like out there selling all day and being like, buy this, buy that, get this, get that. Not like that. But if you were able to pull people in, so you're not being pushy, you're not being salesy, you're essentially magnetizing your group and you're pulling people into it, people that have a specific problem that you're able to solve. And your group grows to 100 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people, 20,000 people. What do you think is going to happen? Like, the potential for a profitable Facebook group that gives value to your community, that enables you to make money without being salesy or creepy or constantly promoting your product, that opportunity is there, but it's only going to happen unless you're able to make it niche and unless you're able to shift it from, you know, from stage to community. Now, here's the next thing that I want to talk about, because I see these beliefs come up a lot for my students. And, you know, they start to get some results from their group. They start to get a little bit of momentum. And then, bam, all of a sudden, these like insidious little self-sabotaging, you know, beliefs start to work their way into their head, right? It's kind of like the way I imagine it is like, you know how like sometimes a worm will be inside an apple? Like, that's how I imagine it. Like, your apple is like the brain and there's this little like insidious belief, these little limiting beliefs, these little worms that kind of like eat their way through, right? And it's a distraction. So I want to hit on 3 specific limiting beliefs that I see pop up all the time for Facebook group hosts, so that we can really get into that. So there's one thing, one belief that I see pop up a lot, and that belief is that in order to have a successful business, whether that's $1 million business, a 6-figure business, whatever it is, you have to be a certain kind of person, right? And yeah, it's easy to come up with like the good things that person might be like, oh, in order, like if I want to own a 6-figure business or a 7-figure business or whatever it is, like I want to be confident. I'm going to be generous. I'm going to be this and that, like all of these great things, right? But lurking behind all of those good things are some bad things. And those bad things are not real, but they seem real to us because they're buried deep inside our brains, right? Things like, well, you know, if I'm going to run $1 billion business, like I'm going to have to be like real selfish. Because like people that really build $1 million businesses are selfish, or people who build $1 million businesses are salesy, or people who, build $1 million businesses, are full of themselves, and like nobody wants to, be their friends or whatever, right? Now, if you look at those kinds of things, then it starts to really make sense as to why you're not hitting that goal. Because it's not because you don't have what it takes. It's because why in the world would you want something that you believe deep down in order to get? You have to be selfish, you have to be mean, you have to be conceited, you have to be salesy, you have to be pushy, you have to be all these things that you don't want. So if you're working towards these big goals, one thing that you can do is on a piece of paper, you can write out, who do I have to be, right? Who do I have to be? Who do I have to be to make 6 figures? Who do I have to be to make 7 figures, right? You can write that down, whichever one resonates with you, okay? And then I want you to write everything down, all of your beliefs. I want you to write the good down, and I want you to write the bad down. And then after that, I want you to take a look at all the bad things that you've written down and start to understand why you haven't reached that goal. You haven't reached that goal because you're actually avoiding that goal like the plague, because you don't want to be that person. You don't want to be that mean, salesy, pushy, conceited, whatever beliefs are in there, person that makes 6 figures a year, that makes 7 figures a year, right? For example, one limiting belief, and I see this a lot with women in particular, is that they have this limiting belief of, well, if I run a 6-figure business or a 7-figure business, it means I'm super busy and I never get to spend time with my family. And the whole reason why I started a business is because I want to spend more time with my family. I want to be able to see my kids. I want to be able to spend time with them. Those things are important to me. And if I run a 6 or 7-figure business, it's going to cost me that. It's going to cost me time with my family, time with my friends, time with people that are important to me. But that's not true. That's what you've chosen to believe. And in the way that you've chosen to believe that, you can also choose to not believe that. The other limiting belief that's out there is this idea that we're not deserving of success, right? And this pops up a lot when, you break through some of those other beliefs, you reach your goal, like your 5-figure launch or your 6-figure year or your 7-figure year or whatever it is. And all, again, like the little worms in the apple, they start to come in and you start to question whether or not you're really deserving of this success, right? And in order to really break through that, we have to sit back and really think about it. Like, who told us that? Who told you that? Who told you that you were not worthy, right? Who told you that you were too small, you were too big, you were too loud, you were too quiet, too introverted, too extroverted, too dumb, too smart, so that you weren't worthy of success? Who told you that? Because that is just a lie. That's just a lie. It's not true. But when we hear stuff like that, we really internalize it and it sticks with us. And I see a lot of women, this happens a lot, especially before we go live or before we start to reach out and try to be more visible with our communities, where these insecurities kind of pop up for us. And it happens with men too. But these insecurities kind of pop up and we start to hear those little voices from people that told us at one point in time, you just look kind of weird. You shouldn't be on camera because you look weird. Or, you talk with a stutter. Like, don't do that. You talk with, like, you're not, like, you need to hold back. Don't do that. Right? And if we let those little, those small, like, seemingly on the surface insignificant comments, if we attach ourselves to those comments, if we keep hearing them over and over in our head, then we're never going to be successful, right? We're never going to do that. And this happens all the time. I see it all the time. Once people start to build momentum with their Facebook groups, they start to have all of these self-doubts. They start to overanalyze everything. You know, well, should I do this? Well, I was going to do a webinar on this. Should I change it to this? I was going to do this lead magnet. Should I do this? Should I start to do ads? Should I not? Should I do this, that? Like, no. So those are two things. And then the third thing is this idea that you have to be, like, ready for success, right? You have to be ready for it. And this shows up for people a lot of times when they tell me things like, oh, you know, Caitlin, it totally makes sense that if I have a niche Facebook group and it's directly linked to a product that I sell, it makes sense that would work, but I'm not ready to do that yet. I'm not ready to be successful because first I need to get my website sorted out. Or because first I need to be able to build my email list. Or first I have to do this, that, the other, whatever. Okay? Why? Why do you have to do that? Because I'm telling you right now, you don't have to do any of that. And in fact, a lot of times, planning out every little thing and having every single thing done in the way that you think is going to work, once you shed some light on it, once you get it out there, you see very quickly that it is in fact the wrong offer or the wrong product or the wrong program or whatever it is that you're selling, right? But you don't know that until you open a group and until you shed some light on it. Because until then, it's just all in your head. So, of course, it seems like a good idea in your head, right? You're like, okay, I have the perfect product. I have the perfect name for it. Like, my website is going to look like this. And, like, this is how everything's going to be. And, you know, it all sounds perfect because it's not real, right? But people go about that backwards and they try to do all of these things. They create a finished product or a program or a website or whatever it is. They create all of those things before they build their community. And then they're stumped as to why when they launch, as to when they finally ask for the sale, nobody wants to buy. Well, it's because you designed that product or program for yourself and you did not design it for your community. And that is why it's absolutely essential that you build your community first. You've got to build that first. Otherwise, there's no way of knowing, like, you can spend all the money you want on advertising, right? You can do all of that, but that's not, all of that money is wasted if you haven't proven that you have an offer that converts to organic traffic, to your organic community, right? So, I mean, I want you to think about that. I want you to think about, and you might want to rewatch this video a few times because I talked about kind of some big concepts, and sometimes it's like, sometimes one small, simple thing might take a while to sink in because it's like a small, simple thing, but it's really like dense and weighty. And I was hesitant when I did this live because I was like I might even be covering too much information. It might be too many things squeezed in there, and we can definitely do a Facebook Live later on that zooms in more specifically on one of these topics. But the things that I want you to go back and look for are the first, why focusing on less is the key to a profitable Facebook group. I want you to think about how your ego can completely ruin your group, and you need to make that transition from stage to community. And I really would love for you to dig in and think about some of those 3 self-sabotaging beliefs that are living inside of you that you're not 100% aware of, but that need to be brought to the surface and that need to be addressed. Because there's nothing that's going to help, there's nothing that's going to help you reach that 6-figure mark or that 7-figure mark if deep down you believe that the person that you have to become in order to earn 6 figures or 7 figures is not congruent with your values, right? You're not going to hit that goal if you believe that if deep down you believe that in order to hit 6 figures, in order to hit 7 figures, you have to be the kind of person that ignores their family, that ignores their friends, that is selfish, that is greedy, that is that takes advantage of people, that's salesy, right? If that's what you truly deep down believe, if that's the kind of person that you think you have to be in order to make 6 figures or 7 figures, you're never going to make 6 or 7 figures. Because why in the world would you want to be that person? Right? And that's it. So I will see you guys later. Thank you for joining me. And that's it. Bye, guys.